Switching gears, this weekend, millions of fans won't be just watching sports. They have serious money on them. The American Gaming Association predicts Americans will legally wager $3.3 billion on March Madness alone. But as online sports betting surges in popularity, a recent lawsuit accuses DraftKings and FanDuel of using addictive technology and tracking users' behavior to keep them betting. We reached out to both of those companies. DraftKings declined to comment, and we haven't heard back from FanDuel. But we are hearing from someone who is sounding the alarm in a new op-ed titled, "I'm a college student. Gen Z sports betting is wrecking my friends' lives." Eli Thompson is the Gen Z journalist who wrote that piece, and he joins me now. Eli, thanks so much for coming on tonight. I've read your piece, all of it, and it made me very sad. Tell us more about the friends in your life and what you've seen as a result of this sports betting.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I think a lot of my friends, they start out betting small amounts, $5, $10, it really can't hurt. I saw this starting in high school. A lot of friends would lose $75, $100, but it seemed to really get worse when I went to college. A lot of friends, they would start with small amounts again, but they would continue betting and they would continue losing, and they lose up to $400, $500. A couple of them did.
You talk about in your piece about how they would hide amounts from their families, how they would go into debt about this, they would pull away from their families and their teammates. You also talk about the social cost of this, how, one guy who was the life of the party, essentially, in your group chats and your friend group just disappeared as a result of this kind of betting. Why do you think that's happening, and what's the path forward to prevent that?
Yeah, I think a major part of it isn't it just a financial impact? A lot of it's talked about financial, how much money is lost, but it's more of a social impact as well. A lot of friends that I talked about in the essay, they'd lose a lot of money and they'd check out. They wouldn't be there as much socially. In high school, they'd struggle in school, or they'd struggle with sports. They wouldn't be there as much for their team. And I think it's really an impact of money they lost, but it's also hard for them to lose that much money and still be focused on the things that really matter, like school, social life, and sports.
So as a distraction from what they should be focused on, do you think it's a shame thing as well?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think, they're upset about the money they lost, and, they're kind of ashamed. They don't want to tell their families. They try to hide it from their families as much as they possibly can. And, but that's, I think, a bigger impact than just financial, because, the money they can get back, but the social aspect, I don't think they can really get back, or it takes a
Yeah.
longer time to get back.
Absolutely. And we mentioned that there are a couple of lawsuits against some of these gaming companies accused of addictive technology, especially for young people. What kind of limits do you think should be put in place? There isn't a ton of legislation around and law around this particular topic, especially when it comes to minors. You mentioned that this was happening in high school. What kind of limits do you think should be put in place to stop young people from getting themselves in these positions?
Yeah, first, I think that all betting apps should be moved to age 21 and older. Most of them are, so like DraftKings, FanDuel, they're all 21 plus. But there are other apps like Fliff and Prize Pits that are 18 plus. I think all of them need to be 21 plus. And I think there need to be stricter regulations. I've seen friends who are 18, 19 years old who are still able to use the 21 plus apps, whether it's an older friend that they're able to use an account off of, or an older sibling. So I think there needs to be tighter restrictions, and I think each of these apps needs to be 21 plus.
Do you think that there's room too for groups on campus, or friends like you, to come together and find something else to do with your time so that you're not engaged in gambling? You can go skydiving or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think also a big part of it is high school. In high school, we're taught about, the dangers of drugs, alcohol, all that stuff. I think we also need to be taught about the dangers of betting, because I think it can really make a big impact on us, not just now, but 4 years from now when we're graduating college, and money we lost that could be there, but also withdrawal aspects that hurt us in high school and college.
Absolutely. Well, it's a big problem, and we're very glad that you wrote about it and came on to talk to us about it tonight. Thanks, Eli Thompson. Great to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.